Here in the studio, our diplomatic correspondent Mike Wagenheim and number 23 on the United Right list, Jeremy Saltan. Welcome both. Jeremy, in this column in Israel Hayom, the Prime Minister said any vote for a party that isn't the Likud is effectively a vote for Gantz and Lapid. It's a vote for a left-wing government. You must be concerned, presumably, that the Likud is now going on a strategy of gobbling up the support that goes to smaller parties like yours.
I'm not concerned at all. Look, anyone who wants a right-wing government needs to vote for the United Right. It's very clear. If you vote for the Likud, you risk that possibly you might wake up and find a very different government. Look, you just heard what you're...
Sorry, I don't follow. Why?
It's very simple. Let's look at what happened in the last election. We had a situation where the Prime Minister tried, and I believe him in his op-ed when he says he would prefer a right-wing government. But when he was not able to form one, his first call was to Avi Gabay. He wanted to offer Sheli Yachimovich the Justice Ministry. He wanted to take Stav Shapir, who is right now in the merits list, and make her minister in his government. If you want a right-wing government, you can only vote for the United Right.
No, but Jeremy, it doesn't matter whether someone is passing their vote between the United Right and the Likud. The fact remains that if you, as a right-wing bloc, do not have a majority, you have no government.
If the United Right is small and the Likud is too large, the Likud will not be able to form a government. Or they will have to go ahead and form a government with people who are not on the right.
But if the United Right is large and the Likud is small, because you pass 3 seats between the two of you, you're still not going to be able to form a government.
Let's look historically. If you look in the 80s, what happens when the Likud is up there...
Let's look at the numbers.
You need
if you
to
don't
look at
have
historically.
61, but Jeremy, if you don't have 61, it doesn't matter whether the United Right is 12 and Likud 30, or you hand over a couple of other seats.
I'll tell you something about the polls. Whatever you see now is going to be very different from what we have on Election Day. And what we have seen over the last 10 years and 4 elections is that the right wing has enough of a base and enough support to be able to have a majority of seats in this government. However, if Likud has too many seats and the United Right does not have enough seats, that runs the risk of us being in a situation where we could lose a right-wing government and find ourselves in national unity.
Jeremy, you haven't explained the logic there, because if you pass over 3 seats between the Likud and the United Right, or the United Right and the Likud, your right-wing bloc is the same size. Netanyahu now is trying a very deliberate strategy of trying to draw all your soft flank voters away, and you're going to find yourself in a much smaller presence in the next Knesset.
I trust the voters to go ahead and look at the Likud record and look at the record of the United Right that is led by Ayelet Shaked, who is the most popular minister of the outgoing government. And I tell you that I believe the voter will go ahead and choose us over that of the Likud. Look,
you don't think the Likud has leverage to try to turn to people and say, listen, it matters who the largest party is?
Let's look at Likud. You have people like Tzachi Hanegbi, Yuval Steinitz, Yisrael Katz, 3 ministers that voted for the disengagement. You have people on the Likud list that support a 2-state solution. I think it's very clear. You want to have a right-wing government, you need to vote for the United Right.
Jeremy, what do you do if we wake up the morning after the elections, we have very similar results, the right-wing bloc minus Lieberman does not have a 61-seat majority, Netanyahu doesn't have a government. What does the new right, or the United Right, do now?
So again, what we said we're going to do is very simple. Once we get to the president's residence, we are going to recommend the party that has the most seats in the right-wing bloc, which of course is most likely going to be the Likud and Prime Minister Netanyahu. If we get to that 42-day barrier, and Netanyahu has not been able...
He's hit a brick wall.
He's not been able to form a government.
Same as last time.
And then Netanyahu says, I want you guys to vote for another election. Let's have a 3rd election in 2019. That is something we're not going to support.
So no 3rd election. What happens then?
So we go ahead and we go through the path of what the law says. The law says that a second person gets a chance. If that doesn't work, there's a 3rd chance. When it comes to the 3rd chance, that means any candidate who can get 61 nominations is able to go ahead and present their candidacy to the president to try to form a mandate. If we see after 3 people have tried to form a government and none of them have been able to do so, then unfortunately we would end up in another caretaker government by law and have to go through another election.
Oh dear. 1,400 people had ended up voting for your party rather than the Likud. We wouldn't be going into elections. Again, Jeremy Saltan, Mike Wagenheim, thank you very much.